that people are going to be getting. Like they're going to be getting this bonus. Where we are here, I'm live with the superstar, the one and only Jessica Lundy, and I'm not going to share her long intro. Not going to do it. Just going to tell you that Jessica Lundy is an incredible speaker. She's an incredible interviewer and interviewee as well. She's been on the television, not the internet vision, but she's been on the television. She had her own show up in Detroit. She's well traveled. She does her thing, and she's Googleable. So you can look her up. You can Google her. But I'm just excited to have her as a friend, and especially somebody that worked together to help make the world a better place. Jessica, how you living? How you doing?
I am fantastic. How are you?
I am living the dream right now. As of this recording, I'm living the quarantine dream.
Yes.
Because the stay-at-home orders has kept me at home, and I am not one to test sickness.
Okay.
I'll test a lot of stuff. I ain't about to test no sickness. It's like, oh, you might get this and you might die. Say no more.
Right.
I believe in glory, but I don't want to see it just yet. I don't want to see it just yet. I'm still enjoying my glory on this side. But anyway, Jessica is what I call an expert within a sea of experts. So if you want to be a speaker, if you want to be an author, if you want to, dominate your industry, your niche, or wherever part of the world you are, however you pronounce it, you have to be an authority. And I just want to, before we get Jessica in on this, I just want to give you all the slight distinction between being an expert and being an authority. An expert has a lot of knowledge. An expert knows a lot of stuff. An authority is respected by other experts. That's the distinction. So I can know a lot of stuff. I can be book smart. I can, all those things. I can even, be in media. I can even be on stuff, but are you respected by the other experts? That's the distinction. And so when we're talking about building authority, there's no better way or quicker way than to get on TV. And so before we start grilling Jessica and asking her questions about being on or being in the media, being on TV, talk about your journey, like how you got to where you were and then where you are, and then we'll go from there.
So my journey to television was very different than the average TV host, anchor, journalist. I've actually wanted to be on TV since I was 5 years old. I always talk about that in my keynote. I didn't want to be on Nickelodeon. I wanted to be the next Oprah. And so that was a dream that really drove me to be successful. I set what some people would say an unrealistic goal to start my career in a top 10 market. And I did, and that had never been done before. Generally, you have to start, a lot of people don't know, the market size depends on what city you live in. So if you live in Toledo, Ohio, your market's probably like 105 or something like that. If you live in Atlanta, like where I'm at now, that's market 11. Detroit right now is ranked market 13. So to get a top 15 market, generally you have to be in news lots of times, like 10 years plus. So that's why a lot of times when you see these senior anchors, it's because they have a lot of experience. That's why they're generally older that you see in the top markets. They have paid their dues to get there. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to charm my way to the top. And I have been able to do that, which is great. So I actually won a host competition. I competed with over 1,400 people to be the face of a TV network in Detroit. Now, the exciting thing about that was it really was kind of like an American Idol experience. There were so many people in line. I got there so early, and there were still so many people. And, just a frame of reference, the person in front of me flew in from New York and had already been doing reality TV. And then the person behind me did media in California. So people literally traveled all around the country to audition. And I literally had people ask me in the street, why did you get picked over me? And I just was my authentic self. You know, I wasn't trying to be perfect. I didn't try to throw all these accolades. I just was relatable. And that was the key ingredient to success, whether that's speaking or television or anything like that. Yes, they are sometimes old guys. I understand everyone coming on. But you know, I wasn't trying to be like everyone else. I was just trying to be Jessica Lundy. You know, that's something that has always made me stand out. And no matter what market I've been in, whether that's television, I used to do beauty pageants, trade show presenter, you know, all of that. It's just being me, you know, and I think that really is what will make you stand out when you start pitching. So I've done local TV, so I have my own show. I actually had my own show before I got to network. And so that's part of the whole preparation piece. A lot of times people just saw me win, right? They were like, oh my God, she won. She's so lucky, you know. But it was like, no, I actually had my own show where I wrote, produced, did all of the content. I had a video team. I took classes at an actual like local network. So I was learning how to edit on Final Cut. Like I was doing the work behind the scenes. And so people just saw, oh, this pretty girl just won. It's like, no. I put a lot of time, work, money, private coaching. I've always been an advocate for private coaching. So I had a TV hosted coach. Those don't even exist. So you even have to do the research to get coached by these elite people that will only accept you if they like your demo reel. They don't just accept you because they don't need your check. They accept you because they think you're already exceptional and it will be a good addition to their roster. So that's kind of, you know, my gist. And so I said I did local TV, I had my own show, and then I've also done national TV as well. And so that's a whole nother animal. And the unique thing about me is I've been on the TV hosting side, I've produced my own segments, and then I've also been a guest. So I've also been a guest on television as well. And it's rare that someone has done all three. I don't know anyone who's actually done all three.
And so I want to just unpack a little bit about what you said and why and its importance, because you've been where, like you've been who people pitch. You've been the person doing the pitching, and you've been like behind the scenes, because you mentioned and people in your industry, y'all say stuff that us regular folk don't understand. So I'm gonna bring me say I've produced my own show. What exactly does that mean? And I want you to bring that out so that people can understand your perspective.
Correct. I appreciate you mentioning that, because you're right. When you're in the industry, you just expect everyone to know your terms. So the producer is the gatekeeper. So if you're taking notes, which I hope you are, because I'm going to be dropping a lot of stuff that you just can't get there. From what I know, there's literally only one other media trainer like in the country. So you're not going to get this information from anywhere else. So I would advise you to get a notebook and write this down. The producer is the gatekeeper. They're the one that actually will allow you to be on a show or to be on a segment. And so when you actually produce, that's the person that's putting the content together. So that's the person who books the guest. That's the person who does the layout of the show. Sometimes they do the writing, they do the graphics. So the graphics that you see on TV with all of the little bullet points and the little pictures. Because I worked at a duopoly, which means there's two stations in one, I was the face of the smaller network. And then I was an entertainment reporter for the larger one, which essentially mean I had two jobs. And for the smaller network that I worked with, they had a really ambitious idea of what they wanted, but there was not a lot of backing behind it, which meant I was talent, producer, sometimes director. I was head of marketing. I did buying. So I bought actual programs for the network. Like when TD Jakes launched his talk show, I picked that talk show to go to be broadcast in Detroit. Wow. And when it didn't perform, I had to be held accountable for my decisions. So I was doing things that traditionally talent would never do. So my perspective on what it takes to run a multi-million-dollar company is not something traditionally that talent would ever have to experience. They just usually go in, do their research, do their time. I actually would pitch, so I know how to get sponsors. So I was doing things traditionally talent wouldn't do, but honestly, it was such a blessing. I tell people that was like the fastest education I ever got because I instantly learned how to be a CEO of a major TV network.
I love that. And so for those listening, you understand now why I'm so excited to have Jessica, because it's like she can give it to you from all different angles, all different ways. And so, Jessica, those listening, those tuning in, those hearing the recording, they want to be where you were. They want to be the talent. They want to be on TV, because we all know what TV, what media does. We all know what it does. So the question is, how? I'm not Odell. I'm not Odell.
Okay.
Or I'm Odell 10 years ago.
Okay.
Right. Like I don't have the pictures, I don't have the video, I don't have the social proof, I don't have any of that stuff. I'm a kid trying to make it. I want to be on TV. How? Like, where do I start? It seems like it's crazy. Start us there.
So I think it's important to understand there's two different ways to be on TV. You're the on-air personality. You're the anchor, reporter, journalist. That is a very difficult path. I'm gonna be honest. People make it look easy. People have no clue how much work it takes to get to the top. Because like I was saying, you'll usually start, which is kind of like what I protested. You usually start in a random city no one's ever heard of. Okay. Then you stay there for about 5 years so people can know you. Then you spend that time pitching to get to a medium-sized market, like a medium, like a average. Like where you live again?
Greensboro, North Carolina.
Okay, they might be market 79. Okay, so then you might be there a couple of years trying to get known. Then you go to one other place, but most people, the thing is, most people never make it to the top markets. And then you have to pick up and leave to go to all these places. That's the thing people forget. It's not like, oh, I just got this cool new job in this city no one's ever heard of. How do you deal with that emotionally, leaving your family?
And that's why I went to school to be on TV. I went to school. I was like, I'm gonna be on. My goal is to be on ESPN. You know, shout out to Jay Harris, who we are teammates of the same agency. I wanted to do that until I found that out. It's like, oh, you might start in Dearmore, Florida, making $18,000 a year doing all the stuff you were talking about.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't want to be on now that you said that, I don't want to be on air. So talk about the other way.
Yeah.
How we get on TV.
So the best way to get on TV actually is to be a guest. And so these are the people that you see when you're watching typically a morning show. A lot of people see, Good Morning America. That's my goal. I always say start local, right? Start local. You have to start where you are because one, it's easier to get on local television than it is to get on national television, right? So you want to start local. Being a guest isn't challenging. A lot of times people will be like, oh my God, I want to be on TV. I want to be on TV. All it is pitching. And if you're a speaker, you already know how to pitch. You pitch all the time. And so I think sometimes in our head, we can overthink the fact of like, well, pitching schools is different than pitching TV. Pitching corporate is different than pitching school. Like, yes, they all are a different skill set, but you're used to sending emails. You're already okay with rejection, right? So why not shoot your shot? So I think the important thing is to realize to be a guest, you have to have certain things in place to be a guest. One, I'm going to say something very important. And I'm going to say this and write this down. Watch the show you want to be on. It can seem so simple of like, oh, I'm just going to send this generic pitch and they'll love it. If I get 100 emails a day with pitches and I work on the morning show and your email says, hey, love to be on your 6 p.m. show. Well, first of all, ever watch the 6 p.m. news in any market, there are no guests. It's just straight news and facts. So a morning show is the only time that people have guests. So you have to actually watch the show that you want to pitch. Know the segments. It might be like Monday Motivation or Entrepreneur Friday or whatever like that. So the more that you know about the show, you can strategically pitch them. So they're like, okay, you understand our content. Now you might not know, oh, I want to be on the second block. We're not expecting you to know industry terms. We're just expecting you to watch the content for a solid week. That will be your first homework assignment, is to watch the content for the show you want to be on for a solid week and figure out, where do I fit in within this market? Where do I fit in within the show? Does a segment piece make sense? Does this stuff look pre-recorded or does it look live? You know, all of those are different factors. And right now is a great time to pitch. Now, I might seem crazy, like, well, why would I pitch right now? I have seen, I'm just going to be honest because that's all I can be. I have seen some horrible people, some horrible Skypes being done.
Man, and as she's saying that, it gets frozen. We planned it just like that. I promise you. I promise you. I assure you. She'll be back. And when she does come back, I want to stop and letting you know this, that media training with Jessica, for everybody that's on, she is offering a super special deal. If you go below the bit.ly link right there, bit.ly/media training with Jessica. All right. So bit.ly/media training with Jessica. All right. So watch the show that you want to pitch for a week, know the segment, and know where you want to fit in. And so when we get Jessica back, we're going to be talking about the next steps that you can take to go there. But man, that's incredible. And one thing that I found is that I had a lot of, like, I want to say imposter syndrome, maybe a little bit, but it's difficult when you're a speaker it's difficult to kind of put yourself in that vein, because when you get on TV, like, you are literally in the game. Like, you're on TV, bright lights. I mean, I have a light here. For those of you that are watching, for those of you listening, you can't see me, but it's a bright light, and then I sweat. I don't know, a lot of people, and somebody mentioned that that you get makeup. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. But I think it's important to note that once you get on TV, it increases your authority. It increases your authority. It increases your ability to sell whatever it is you want to sell. So if you're a speaker and maybe you talk about leadership, being on now, how do you lead through this? Kids going back to school, you can start planning ahead if you take upon that first thing that Jessica mentioned, which is huge. Watch the show you want to pitch for a week, and then know the segment, see where you fit in. That's really, really huge. So once we get Jessica back, we'll go into the other things. I hope you're writing that down. Like I said, we planned this, but now I just got to give her the cue to log back in. Love it. Love it. This is also Monday and Marketing Monday. For those of you that don't know what that is, it's okay, because I just started it today, Marketing Monday. And one thing about marketing that you want to do is you want to study the best. And one of the best marketers out there right now is Russell Brunson. This is his brand new book, Traffic Secrets. I've already listened to it. All right. I've already listened to it. And I'm going to tell you the biggest thing. And when we get Jessica back, I'm going to be talking about this. The biggest thing that I took away from this book is there are two ways to get more traffic into your websites. Two ways. One is you work your way in, and two, you buy your way in. So one, you work your way in. Two, you buy your way in. And when you're doing that, you want to make sure that you're getting in front of the people that are wanting your stuff. So right here, he says, filling your websites and funnels with your dream customers. If you're like, oh, Dale, I don't have a website, or I don't have a funnel, or I don't even know what that is, whatever. All you got to do is make sure that you're filling your pipeline, maybe, or your customer funnels, maybe. But there's some great information in here. Traffic Secrets by Russell Brunson. Make sure you check out this book. This is Marketing Monday. Marketing Monday. Odell Bazell's first suggestion, Traffic Secrets by Russell Brunson. It's going to blow your mind. And you've got to get your mind blown sometimes. And Jessica's about to log back in, and we're going to be talking about the other details of how you can become an authority through being on the media. And this is was so important before we get Jessica back on. So important, so critical. When you're on TV, people think you're a star. When you're on TV, people think you're a star. And when people think you're a star, you got to make sure that the right people think that you're a star. And so if the person you're trying to do business with, your customer or whoever, if they think you're a star, then they're going to want to do business with you. Everybody says that people only do business with those that they know, like, and trust, right? If you're on TV, unless you're on there for a scandalous reason or something like that, people trust you. People trust you. That's just how it is. And so if you can get on TV, then people will fast track to trust you. If you can get people to fast track to trust you, then they fast track to pay you. They fast track to pay you, then you're in business. And that's something that you can continue to do. You can continue to have. But the second thing that I wanted to say as it relates to getting on TV is that the YouTube, and this is streaming live on YouTube, if you're watching or if you're listening, YouTube and the internet is the great equalizer. Everybody can have a show. Everybody can have, their opinion. Everybody can have all of that stuff now, right? Even playing field, especially now, post-pandemic or during the pandemic, all that stuff. But the ultimate separator is television. If you're on TV, that's the ultimate separator, is television. And so that's why having those nuggets, doing those things is going to help you separate yourself from the competition. And imagine right now if you can get on your morning show in your local, wherever you are, in your local market, as Jessica talked about, or if you could get on a regional, like more regionally wide show or something like that. All of those things could work. All of those things could help. I think we have Jessica coming back on. I think we do. All right. Can you see me? Can you hear me? No. There's a storm in Atlanta. And this is an example of live TV. So if we were doing a live show, national or whatnot, we would just move to the next segment, right? Until we got Jessica back. And that's one thing that you also have to learn too when you're doing television, especially if it's live. And if something happens, if you are a standby or something like that, and maybe you're in the studio and then, a big breaking news story happens, well, they're not going to have you on. They might have you on a little later, or they might just totally push your segment to the side. So you have to be prepared for that. You have to be willing to be flexible. You have to be willing to kind of roll with the punches. Also, if you're on an interview that's not necessarily television, that's a different type of media, a podcast or something like that, then you've got to be ready for interruptions. You got to be ready for disconnections. You got to be ready for storms. So make sure that that's something else that you can do as a speaker or as an authority figure or anything like that. You've got to be that person that can roll with the punches. And that's a huge thing that helps a lot of people that are going through certain stuff. And it hurts other people because they're not able to do it. And so you want to make sure that you're doing that as well. And I think trying to connect. And we'll be back with more after this short break from the Odell Bazell Show sponsors.
Storm won't let me be great.
Yo, it was so funny because I was like, yo, I said, listen, I said, we'll be back after these short, like whatever. And then right when I said that, you like popped back up.
Oh, wow. That's hilarious. Yes. Thank you, Frank. I'm back. Yeah, not the best weather in Georgia. We've been having storms yesterday and today, and I guess it makes sense that would affect my internet connection. So I am back on my phone, but that'll be fine.
All good. But fortunately, I was taking really good notes and and doing a whole lot of extemporaneous stuff that you have taught me in the past. So talking about segments, talking about when stuff gets interrupted, or if you're a guest and sometimes when there's breaking news and you can't do your segment or whatever. So
that's happened to me many times, actually, where I will be all prepared. I used to have a concert series called Concert at the Cube, which was so fun. But there were plenty of times where breaking news would happen. I'd be out because it was like an outdoor concert. And we'd be all ready. The band's all pumped up. They've got their ear monitors in. It's like 3, 2, wait a minute, breaking news. Oh, just kidding. And then the segment would get bumped. Or you get so excited, you're at the studio, you're a guest, and if breaking news happens, you get bumped. And that is a bummer. They really try hard to rebook people, but because they plan out the content usually weeks in advance, it's very challenging to rebook. So sometimes it's just like an unfortunate situation, but I think we all try to make the most of all of our situations that we're in.
Got it. So let's go ahead and real quick, while the Georgia weather is letting you be kind of great.
Right.
You said the first thing you said, watch the show you want to pitch for a week, know the segment, see where you fit in. What's the next thing? And again, these are tips if you're brand new and you're trying to become a guest on TV, some things you should be doing.
So the next thing, you need material to send, right? So everyone wants to pick up the phone and call someone. It's really unlikely. I would absolutely not recommend trying to call a station ever, unless you're trying to call and say, can you give me the email of the producer? Don't try to actually talk to the producer. They are very, very busy. They don't have time to talk to you. A lot of times people say they are so rude. Yes, you can be in the waiting room for hours. I mean, it can be quite the experience. You know, you're literally on TV for 3 to 5 minutes, And it feels like an eternity that you're waiting and that the segment is actually happening, and then you look up and it's gone. So when you're actually pitching to media, you wanna be prepared. You know, they shouldn't have to say, hey, can you send over a picture? You know, you want to send a headshot, you want to send a press release, you want to send a clip if you have it. And so what I was going to encourage people is, since people are going live very often, kind of like what we're doing now, ask for a recording of your Facebook Live, or download a recording of a Facebook Live. And if there is part of a segment where you're dropping gem after gem after gem, cut a little short period of that. Like, Odell, you have so much content, don't make no sense. Cut a short little clip and send that clip in with the topic. It's like, here's an interview with me talking about it. Because the norm right now is to be going live on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Snapchat. So why not take that content and they can see you in an interview format and see how you respond to questions? And it's like, okay, they've got great energy, they're exciting, their background looks professional. You know, there's so many different factors that they're able to see. Because the reality is, the worst thing is someone has great headshots, right? They've got a great press release, amazing product or service, and then they get there and they are flat. And I would say the vast majority of people I see on TV that are guests are flat. And I'll even say people who have publicists, their clients are still flat. And I will say speakers, authors, and coaches, flat. And so your perspective can be, oh, well, I've been speaking for 10 years. I'm going to be great on TV. That's not necessarily true. I'm a best-selling author. I'm going to be amazing on TV. I coach people for a living. I'm going to be amazing on TV. That's not necessarily true, because, to be very frank, speakers talk a lot. We get paid for 60-minute keynotes, half days, full days. We can talk for hours. And the reality is that when you're a speaker, an author, and a coach coming into a TV studio, you have got to hang up your pride at the door. I'm going to say that one more time. You got to hang up your pride and your accolades at the door, because that anchor, reporter, TV host does not care about your accolades. You are a part of their day. You are a part of the requirement of their job. They are not excited to see you. We will make you feel loved and be like, oh, we're so happy you're here. Your product is amazing. You're going to change lives. But as soon as you leave and that next guest comes, I got to give them that same love, and I've completely forgotten about you.
Wow.
So you gotta leave your pride at the door. We're not really not excited that you're there. We're just doing our job. You know what I mean? We're just acting like everyone else. Sometimes we are excited. Like, sometimes I have met people. We had amazing athletes. Snoop even came to our station. We had Olympians come to, working in Detroit, we got big people, WWE wrestlers, like politicians. And so I got to interview some really cool people. And yes, I even interviewed Usher. That was an amazing experience. So yes, there are people that come in, I'm excited and passionate, but that's not everyone's story. And so I think the biggest challenge with speakers is we talk too much. And so you have to be coached into learning sound bites.
Wow.
And yeah, let me say that one more time. You have to be coached into learning sound bites. You know, and people always ask me, well, you know, why do I need a media trainer? I have a publicist. Most publicists have never worked on television. They know how to book you, but they don't know how to train you for the opportunity. And I always say this, you know, you're putting together your keynote. That takes time, energy, coaching. You want to send it to an expert to say, hey, what do you think of this keynote? How do you think this keynote will do? Right? But speakers want to get on TV. No training, no experience, false sense of confidence. And it's like, I got this. And then they're on TV, the phone doesn't ring, the website doesn't change. And they're like, well, what happened? This is a different lane. They're similar, but they're a different lane. You have to be trained for this. You have to have a different type of thought process.
And I just want to, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was about to say, it's almost like writing content. You know, I started taking some copywriting courses for some, you know, different projects I'm going to be putting out soon. And it's just a different, all these different skill sets are similar, but they're different.
Yeah. And you took the words right out of my mouth, because I was going to say, when you're writing content, we have all this stuff like in our heads or in our minds, and we have all these ideas. But it's like, if you add, like, if we're talking and asking a question, like right now, I've already talked too long. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
I've already talked too long. So that skill set in and of itself is ridiculous. And so I just wanted to emphasize that for those listening that were like me in the past. So it's like, well, yeah, I don't need that. I'm smart enough to figure that out. And I tell everybody, one of my biggest mistakes coming into the speaking game was thinking I was too smart. It's like, well, I know how. I've been in sales before. Like, this is just sales. And you mentioned something that I want people to get, and you can talk about a little more. It's like what flat looks like. So you like, I'm a easy interview. I'm, you know, I don't like, but what does that look like? And talk about the dynamic of the media of the medium of television. Like, people say the camera adds 10 pounds, but it also takes off a whole bunch of energy. So talk about that too.
So those are both very accurate. That's something that people don't talk enough about. Even your attire. You know what I mean? Like, I would tell people, when you work with me, I'm going down from your outfit, right? Your makeup, because your makeup has to be different. You know, women are like, I got this. I don't need to get a makeup artist. Or they get a makeup artist and they come look like a clown because it's photo makeup instead of video makeup. So there's so many small little nuances that you think are not a big deal. Or like this outfit that I have on now, this glamorous shimmery outfit, I would never wear this on TV because it wouldn't translate well. I would never wear something this dark. It doesn't translate well. A lot of times people want to look a certain level of professional and they're not being authentic to their brand. So I would say stay consistent with your brand. Someone I would say that does this really well is Stan. I've seen Stan's clip, who's a speaker, on social, and the way that he looks, that he does his keynotes with his like signature jacket and hat, translates well on TV. It's like, oh, that's Stan. I know that's Stan because he got that hat. So don't feel like you have to be somebody different just because you're in a TV studio. I think that's really important too. But then you also want to be remembered. You know, I think that's really important too. And so what are you going to do to be remembered? That's where preparation is so important, right? Flat, I would say naturally most people are flat with their personality. So as we're just talking very casual, but most people notice when I talk, I smile talk. And so it's the energy from deep, deep, deep low. I'm bringing it all the way up. And that's really what made me stand out in my audition. They're like, she is always happy. People's perspective of me is Jessica's always happy. Jessica is always smiling. I've never seen her not smile. I remember, you know, working on TV, you get a lot of negative comments. People are rude. They will send, like, some of my co-anchors, they would get messages saying like they needed to lose weight, that their outfits look bad. Oh my God, if you wear that dress one more time, I'm gonna scream. I spent so much money on clothes for television. I literally have 50 different dresses that I would rotate because I didn't want to receive those messages. Yeah, designer. I didn't want to see those messages of, I have seen that yellow dress 4 times this month. People send that because they feel empowered. And so the worst comment that I ever got was that I smile too much and I'm too happy. And I said, if that's the worst thing you can say about me, sir, I am okay with that. So I think being okay with the comments, being okay with, you know, I always tell people, you don't go on television, especially not local television, really to sell a product. It's for credibility. When you go to someone's website and they've got, you know, that's something that I get a lot of notice about. It's like, man, you've been on ABC, NBC, Fox, you've been on TMZ, you've been on Maury, you've been all over the place. So if all of those people have signed off on me, well, why wouldn't an organization bring me in? Why would they second guess my fees? Google me. You know what I mean? Like,
you're Googleable.
There's a different posture that I have with my fees. Now, granted, yes, I was a TV host, so there is a certain level of celebrity that comes with my fee range, but adding those as seen on definitely help. Adding those TV news clips definitely help. And if you do a good job, then why wouldn't they want that same energy and excitement on their station? Because they've seen a lot of bad content. And who's pitching right now? Nobody. People just quiet. And they desperate for content. So if you've ever been in a position where you're like, man, I really want to pitch right now, this is your time. This is your season. One thing that I have done during quarantine is coaching. I was like, oh, Odell, you going to drop that speaker leads? Thank you. Are you going to drop that summit? Thank you. I didn't pick up so many, because what will not happen for me in my business is I will not be the same as I was before this started. So this is your time of preparation. You might be saying, Jessica, what do we do next? You need to draft a plan. You need to draft a plan. This is preparation season. I don't want you to miss this window of time and then it's over and then the fall starts and you're like, man, I should have invested in my speaking business. I should have got more media mentions. I should have came up with a marketing plan for my business. But now you're in the same spot. And to be honest, you really need it. Because like Odell's been saying for the last few weeks, this crisis puts a lot of us on the same playing field.
The exact same.
And so if they go to your website, what's different?
Before we get you out of here, because I definitely want people to check out what you have, because it's super valuable. And I know you're preaching to me. I know.
I'm looking right at you.
I know. But I'm gonna do it. I promise. I know I've been saying that for like a year and a half, but I am. But I want to bring out when you first met me and saw me speak, you were like, that was one of the first things you said. You was like, wow, you smile a lot when you speak. Like you were like, I noticed that. And
right.
It's the little tweaks, you all. It's the little bitty things that Jessica shared. And we don't have the time right now, but I want you to check out her site, the bit.ly link, bit.ly/media training with Jessica, because man, if you can position yourself, imagine if you pitch yourself and you get on just one, that will break through a lot in your mind. That'll break through a lot. You'll get that stage time, if you will, on the media. And if you mess around like Stan and do a good job,
right,
they'll bring you back. I know multiple people that they've been brought back multiple times, and their list looks like, man, that person is a celebrity. What they're saying has to be valid. What they're saying has to be credible. And so, Jessica, just before we get you out of here, I want you to talk a little bit about, the offer that you have to help coach some people. It's incredible. When I went to the link and saw it, I was like, oh, wow, okay. That's
right.
So that's those COVID prices.
Yes, right. These prices are COVID. I will repeat, COVID prices. Anyone that's ever been on my website knows I do not put pricing on my website for my private coaching, like my life coaching, my media training, because it is an investment. So I don't just throw prices on there. And now, because I've known Odell feels like a lifetime, I was like, I'm gonna hook Odell's people up. Okay, I'm gonna hook his people up and do a COVID price and I'm telling you this now. Generally, I only book in 3-hour sessions because I know how long it takes, right? So I never let people book an hour. This is the one time that I'm allowing people to book an hour. Do I recommend you book 3 hours? Yes, I do. Yeah, I do recommend you book 2 or 3 hours. But if you're like, Jessica, that's not in my budget, I totally understand, but I recommend you book as much time, because when I say this price is not going to be up here, like I'm not going to let anyone else know about this special price that I'm doing. It's literally
don't say the price. Don't say the price. Just talk about what they're going to get.
I won't. So it'll be up this week. But to have a former journalist, someone that's still booked on television and have the experience I have, sit down with you and draft what is necessary to submit, there's so much more information. I have so much knowledge that I've even taken media training courses and media training personally from the top media trainer in the world. So just a lot of value. I mean, this really is your season to succeed if you want it. And while we're not on stages right now, your number one responsibility is to get booked on TV. You really don't have an excuse. You really don't. And this is your most opportune time, whether you want to take this time to actually pitch or you want to take this time to actually draft. What are they looking for? To be able to get in the mind of a journalist and say, is this something that you would pick up? I will be honest and say yes or no. How to value those relationships. We know, speaking as a relationship business, every part of business is about relationships. How to meet the right people, how to connect with them, how to make sure you're getting seen, how to follow up, even how to continue the excitement. A lot of times you see people on TV and then people don't even tell people about it. You know what I mean? It's like a secret almost. It's like, weren't you on that show last week? And they're like, oh, snap. Yeah, I did do that thing. You got to tell people. There's a certain strategy to keep people consistently knowing about your media pre, during, and after. But that's strategy. And strategy comes from investment.
Love it. Make sure you all check out Jessica's media training, bit.ly/media training with Jessica. It's all together, and invest in it. It's going to be super valuable for you. And whenever I think of an investment, I always think, when am I going to be able to get this like value back? But not just the value, but much more. Like, nobody puts money into the stock market thinking, well, if I just put $1 in, I hope I can get this $1 back out. Like, you put it in and you hope that over time that $1 turns into $10. And so when Jessica, go to the page, bit.ly/media training with Jessica. If you're listening to this recording and she's taking it down, still reach out, let her know, say, hey, I ran across this recording. And do you still have something for me? But if you can get on TV, it makes you more credible. If it can make you more credible, it can make you an authority in your business. And if you're an authority, I promise you, people won't ever be like, she's too expensive, he's too expensive. They'll be like, okay, when I get to a point where I can afford that person, I'm gonna afford them. Like, and that's the different thing. You don't look at the Lexus, you don't look at the Benz, you don't look at the Rolls and say, man, I really wish they would lower their prices. You think to yourself, wait till I get the money to buy that. And so when you get on TV, people will never look at you and be like, I just can't afford it. I'll be like, man, wait till I get the opportunity to book that person, to bring that person in and have their stuff. So Jessica Lundy, I appreciate you. Go ahead. Yeah.
So I would say, I'm gonna leave one little thing. If you might be watching this, you're like, oh, Jessica, I've already been on TV. Just because you've been on TV doesn't mean it went well. No, I'm serious. I've had clients come to me and have said, like, well, I've already been on TV. I don't really need this. And then I look back at their clip. So this is also a good time, if you're like, hey, Jessica, I want to take myself to the next level, or I've done local, I want to do national TV. That's something we can have a conversation about as well. And then during that session, I will actually watch your clip and give you honest feedback on what worked, what didn't work, and how to position that. And as a speaker, you need media mentions and you need a book. Everybody knows those things. Credibility, we need a book. You need media mentions, and not just one, because it looked like a fluke. You need multiple networks. I just wanted to make sure I mentioned that. You need multiple networks to build those relationships.
Love it. Jessica Lundy, y'all, look her up. She's Googleable. Take advantage of that coaching and training. If for some reason you can't, still connect with her, stay close to the content that she puts out, and watch what she does and emulate success, because success leaves clues. We'll see y'all at the top. Not from the top. Take care.
Bye.
In